What exactly are you paying for when it comes to buying jewelry? And most importantly, how do you decide which pieces to spend more or less money on? Just like any tangible goods business, the first thing in the equation is your raw materials. In the world of jewelry, raw material to a large extent determines the quality and the longevity of the pieces. If you want your pieces to last a very long time, then you want to invest in solid gold, platinum, in white gold, anything that is more resistant to tarnishing. But if you are just trying out different styles, you're more cost conscious, you don't worry too much about tarnishing or spending the effort to polish your jewelry, then you can look into more affordable raw materials like sterling silver or even gold-plated, gold vermeil pieces. In terms of stones, you can obviously invest in real diamonds that will last forever, but you also have alternatives like white sapphire, like cubic zirconia, that in many aspects visually look similar to the real diamonds, but maybe they are more prone to scratches and maybe higher risk of the stones falling out of your jewelry pieces. And obviously, the more precious the raw material is, the higher the price. Next component is design and craftsmanship. This is how the brands stand out with their unique styles. If you think about Tiffany's, for example, the first thing that comes to mind is likely their return to Tiffany's line or even their hardware line. And if you think about Cartier, the Love collection might be the first that come to mind. Versus if you're shopping on Etsy, it is less likely that you can pinpoint specific designs that belong to the sellers because a lot of the Etsy designs either are not very known or are kind of inspired by the existing famous brands' designs. So the more iconic, more unique, more authentic the design and craftsmanship are, the higher the price will be because you're essentially paying the designers, paying the jeweler, the craftsman people for their brain power and their hard work to turn the beautiful raw materials into even more stunning jewelry pieces. Next piece is overhead costs. If a jewelry brand has physical locations, you're essentially paying for a portion of their rent. And for many jewelry brands, they do a lot of marketing, whether it's running ads or billboards or even paying influencers to talk about their brands. And you are also essentially paying for a portion of the marketing. You might think it's unfair for the consumers to pay a portion of that overhead cost. But without the ads, without the celebrity endorsements, without the physical stores, you probably wouldn't have ever come across these beautiful designs. But the hardest component to evaluate is actually the value of the brand. Let's use an upcoming brand Ideal as an example. I do have a dedicated video specifically challenging why every single influencer is talking about Ideal. But on the flip side, I do understand for a brand like Ideal, if they want people to be willing to pay more for their products that you can more or less get similar styles from other places, from Etsy, from even your local jeweler. Part of their brand value is the convenience of a bunch of different designs in one place, is the convenience that they do use modular design principles so you can, put a charm on your necklace, on your earring, and easily layer and mix and match all of their pieces to still stay within the same style. So you're essentially paying for that convenience of not having to hunt through many different places to build a jewelry collection. For a more established, well-known brand like Cartier, part of the brand value is also that quality guarantee. Now, Not always the case, but for the most part, for these heritage jewelry brands, they have lasting power, not just because they have striking design, great raw materials, spend a lot of money on marketing, but also their products do stand the test of time, especially precious metal and solid gold pieces do last years and years. And you know for sure if you're buying, let's say, a engagement diamond ring from Cartier, it is for sure real diamond and certified and all of that. Another consideration for the brand value is the resale value of the pieces. If you own something like a Rolex watch, you know that it's not going to lose too much of its value in the resale market. Sometimes the resale value is even higher than what you pay for. And that's never the case with a piece that maybe your local jeweler made or something that you found on Etsy or like a fast fashion brand. So if it's really important to you to be able to sell the pieces that you don't like at any point and don't lose a lot of money, then going to these heritage brands whose products will not lose much value on the resale market. Another piece of the brand value is that sentimental value. If I think back on my own jewelry shopping experience, the pieces that are more memorable and sentimental to me, especially the ones that I bought for myself, tend to be higher in price point. I think there's something about rewarding yourself by investing a good amount of money on a special piece so that you can really cherish it for years and years to come. Not to say that you cannot, find a beautiful but really affordable, let's say, vintage necklace when you are traveling to an exotic country to kind of commemorate that trip. That definitely still happens to me too. But I also think just the fact that, let's say, you are buying a Cartier love ring for yourself to remind yourself to always have that self-love versus kind of going on Etsy to find a dupe. I do feel like the sentimental effect is just a little bit different there. And obviously another part of the brand value is the design, is the ethos behind the brand, is the meaning of the design. Maybe you really resonate with Chanel's ethos of being free and dress however you feel comfortable and really celebrate yourself and feel comfortable in yourself, and you buy a pair of Chanel earrings to always remind you of that. That kind of value is so tied to the specific brand that may also make you feel more justified to pay more for special pieces like that. And at the end of the day, when you're deciding on how much you're willing to pay for, let's say, a simple diamond necklace, you're kind of also deciding on how else would you spend that same amount of money on. So let's say a diamond necklace from Tiffany's is $1,000 versus you can find the same thing on Etsy for $50, but maybe it's not real diamond. What you're really trying to decide is, okay, if I really want the Tiffany's necklace, could I have spent that $1,000 on maybe a weekend trip away, maybe some fitness classes, maybe a few amazing meals that bring me equal, if not higher amount of happiness as compared to owning a Tiffany's diamond necklace? And if the answer is I will be just so much happier owning a diamond necklace that I know is from Tiffany's that I can wear every day, then the $1,000 is worth the splurge for you. Versus if you would rather do and buy other things that will give you higher level of satisfaction, then maybe your option is to spend that $50 to scratch your itch of owning a diamond looking necklace, but chase your satisfaction and happiness on other things. So it's not as black and white that because everyone says you need to invest money on really good quality designer jewelry pieces, you now have to feel the obligation to, save up and do that. And it really is your own decision of how you want to allocate your disposable income. Let me know in the comments how you decide whether to invest in a jewelry piece.